Today is July 19th, 2026, and welcome to the 497th episode of the So Video Games Podcast. Here on the show, I talk about any game at all, including new stuff, old stuff, and anything in between. My name is Brad Galloway. I am the one-man host of the show, and I'm also the editor of GameCritics.com, a reviews website that offers full accessibility information on every review that we publish. Hello, thank you again for joining me, and if this is your first time, then welcome. Oh man, what is going on, folks? It's been kind of a crazy time. Been very busy with real life stuff, and games have been pretty bonkers, but there is a bit of a lull right now. We're sort of big releases, and I'm still kind of chewing my way through a bunch of things that I haven't finished yet. But there's been time for little bits and bobs here and there. Today's going to be a show that's maybe a little lighter than normal because I'm still got a couple big things on my plate. And at the particular moment, there just isn't a lot for me to sink my teeth into. There's a couple things, and we'll talk about those. And they're actually really good. This is a good week. But it's not like a jam-packed week. Like I didn't get like 6 or 8 games like we normally do when there's a lot going on. So just 3 games today. A little bit of TV talk, a little bit of movie talk, and a very special guest. She has been on the show before, and she is the love of my life. Gina, my wife, will be on the show towards the end. I'm recording this particular show in 2 different sections for various IRL reasons. So I have rearranged the schedule of the show to put the first game last. That way Gina can join me to discuss. It's been a while. It's been a while since she's been on the show. I feel like it's been a couple years maybe, which feels like way too long. So if you have been a long-time listener, I'm sure you will recognize her voice. She's been on a couple of episodes in the past, mostly when Corey was back on. Original co-host Corey Motley back in the day. We did a couple of really good episodes where Gina popped up and we had some good discussions, which I'm really proud of. Go track those down if you like. But today she will be popping on at the end and we will be talking about a little co-op action. So look forward to that later on in the show. But for now, it's business as usual with me, myself, and I. All right, we're not going to waste any time today. We're going to get right to housekeeping. Not a whole lot of stuff to talk about at the moment. There is just one announcement that I want to make. This is about Star Trek Voyager Across the Unknown, which you will know if you listen to the show that I really liked a lot. Had a great time with it. I'm a big fan of Star Trek in general. I really liked Voyager, and we don't get nearly enough Star Trek games for a sci-fi property that is so respected and is so globally recognized and is so groundbreaking in so many ways. I really feel like it's very underserved in terms of video games. But Star Trek Voyager Across the Unknown, I thought was pretty great. We've covered it, several times here on the show. I believe there's also a review at Game Critics as well. But if you didn't catch it or didn't hear me talk about it, basically it is taking the TV show Star Trek Voyager, turning it into a resource management and kind of like strategic game. Nothing real time, like it's all basically turn-based and kind of cerebral. There's a few combat sections where you're in their ship, but mostly it's a turn-based kind of a thing where you're managing your crew and you're making choices about storylines. And what they do is they take almost every single episode that had a strong storyline shows up in this as a side quest. And so you can replay exactly the outcome of those episodes, or you can make different choices. And the cool thing is that even though you're still following the same track as Voyager, where you're lost in deep space and you're trying to make your way back to Earth, that's the premise of the show in case you don't know, you can basically play the entire show in a different way. Like people who died on the show, you can save them. Choices that Captain Janeway made that you disagreed with, you can make different choices. You can have all sorts of different outcomes and different people on your crew. And it's just really interesting. I think it's a great strategy game and a great resource management game for sure. But if you're a Star Trek fan, specifically a Voyager fan, you're going to get a lot more out of it. They name check so many things from the show, and you'll see so many familiar faces pop up. It's just like a greatest hits kind of recap of the show. So if you like Voyager, it's great stuff. Why am I talking about it now? I will tell you. They are launching an expansion pass and its very first DLC. The DLC is called Delta Chronicles. We talked about it earlier. They did an announcement a while ago. This is adding some stuff for Tom Paris, the pilot of the show, and also the Delta Flyer, which was Tom's baby, his little specific shuttle that he created on the show. Just for him. He kind of made it to his specs, and it was kind of this badass little thing. So they added a whole bunch of side quests for the Delta Flyer and for Tom Paris. There's also some other stuff as well. I believe there's a series of other different side quests and different events that can happen, new characters you can recruit, so forth and so on. And so in service of this, they have launched the Deluxe Edition along with. So you get the Expansion Pass, the Delta Chronicles DLC, you get patch 1.8, and you get the Captain's Collection, which is some other stuff. I'm not sure what's exactly in there. But anyway, Expansion Pass, it's launching for $29.99 across all available platforms where you can find the game. I think this game is great. It's triple great if you're a Star Trek fan. It's still a great game even if you're not, but I think it's just amazing if you like Star Trek, if you like Voyager. Good stuff. Check that out. Heads up, that exists. Okay. Let's see. We do have a series of questions this week. Before we get to that, want to just give a quick shout out to GameCritics.com. As the editor, I like to put a little spotlight on things you may have missed if you haven't popped over lately. And speaking of popping over lately, let's do it immediately. What do we got? We got a review for Atelier Yumiya, The Alchemist of Memories and the Envisioned Land. That's quite a mouthful. That one was written by Jason Ricardo. He is a longtime fan of the Atelier series, which is also a really long-running series. I think it's been around for 20 years at least. And according to Jason, he just says they just put out banger after banger, and the series just keeps getting better. We also had a review of Astronauts, and this was from one of our newer writers, John Powell. John Powell, that's right. Great guy, good writer. And Astronauts is like a capitalism sim set in space where you were just like toiling under the thumb of the man for like every penny to try to eke out a survival existence, which sounds a little brutal, maybe a little too close to home. It sounds like a good premise, but it seems like it's got a lot of problems, and maybe they've improved on those since launch. We'll see. We also have a review of the remake of The End of the Greatest RPG of All Time. That is actually what it's called. This is written by Jack Dunn, one of our newer guys. He loved it. He said it was so meta and so mind-blowing and so weird and strange. It was like a truly revolutionary experience for Jack. I haven't played it myself. Sounds extremely interesting. I would love to check it out once it comes to console, but he had nothing but raves for that one, so definitely check that out. And we also had a new kind of like surprise submission. This is by somebody who does not write for us regularly. This was a freelancer who approached me, and I'm scrolling to the bottom, Soren Camper. And Soren, I apologize if I am mispronouncing your first name. It's a foreign name, and it's written with an O that has a line through it, and I'm sure that has like an accent or something. As a single language American, I don't know how to pronounce that. So Soren, I apologize if I'm mangling your name, but he runs Star Wars Gaming, which is a fan site covering various Star Wars things. In case you're interested, swtorstrategies.com. Shout out to Soren. And he gives a very lovely think piece. It's titled Star Wars Games Are Better When They Stop Chasing Canon. And you know what? He's fucking right. He's right. I've actually kind of fallen out of Star Wars lately for various reasons. But I think just this slavish devotion to like the Skywalker stuff and being afraid to get away from that and always like name checking stuff that's already been in the series. And it's just like they just can't tell a new story. It's really frustrating. So I've kind of fallen out of Star Wars, honestly. And he lays out in this article like why it's better to just branch out and do some new stuff. And he has great examples of games that I think it's a really well written piece for sure. And I think that's it for that week. There might have been one or two more things, but that's all I can think of. So check those out. Go over to GameCritics.com if you are interested. There's those reads, and there's like literally tens of thousands of other reviews in the archive. We've been doing reviews for almost 30 years. So that's a lot of stuff to have in the archive. Go check it out. All right, let's get to the questions. We had quite a turnout from the listeners this week. These are questions that popped up in the Discord. And if you would like to be a part of the Discord, get in on this discussion, talk to me directly, ask me questions, whatever, you can absolutely do that. I would love to have more people just come on aboard. It's free of charge. And we'll have information on how to join the Discord coming up soon. All right. Through the magic of podcasting, it is now the next day, July 20th. The wife and I are changing our work schedules. This was the very first week we are doing the new schedule. And I think we had in mind a plan of how things would go. But, they always say the best laid plans, etc., etc. So I was thinking we were going to get the rest of the show recorded today. Obviously, that did not happen. It is almost my bedtime. It's like 10 o'clock at night right now. And this is me returning to the podcast after like more than 24 hours. So clearly that plan did not work out. We are going to have to do some more adjustments. I did have a really lovely dinner though. Got some nice gyros and some Greek fries. That was pretty good. You guys don't care. I don't care. No one cares. Let's get to the questions. And where did the questions go? Here they are. Okay. Let's see. Superfan Ron says, here's 2 questions. Number 1, did you expect to hit 500 episodes when you first started the podcast? Number 2, now that you're almost at 500 episodes, did you expect, or I guess, do you expect to hit 1,000? Did I expect to hit 500? I guess no, but asterisk, I don't think I really had any kind of expectation in mind. I figured I would just do one podcast a week, basically for infinity. So I didn't really have a number in mind, but before I started doing this show, we did the GameCritics.com podcast. I've talked about it a few times, and I believe most of the recordings are available on our YouTube channel. I'm pretty sure. Side note, tangent. I had a couple requests last year to get the old Game Critics episodes up for people who wanted to hear those. And I attempted to do it, but we had a problem with WordPress, and WordPress kept deleting my work after I had gotten all the shows formatted, which drove me fucking crazy. If you know me, one of the things I hate most in the entire world is redoing work I've already done. I can't stand it. It drives me crazy. I can get through like anything once, but if I have to do that thing again, big problems. So I believe, oh man, if they're not at GameCritics.com, they're probably on either YouTube or, oh fuck, whatever. Anyway, we'll find them for you if you want to listen to them. But basically, when we were doing that show, I was wanting that show to be weekly back then. And it was a struggle to get everything coordinated with the other members of Game Critics at the time, the original crew. I'm sure that most people these days don't remember who they are, but it was Chi Kong Liu, Richard Nike, Tim Spaeth, Mike Bracken, Dan Weissenberger every once in a while, a couple other folks. Good show. And it was just really like pulling teeth trying to get everybody involved. People were tired, people were busy, people had families. And it was just like a nightmare. And I was always constantly frustrated because I wanted to do a weekly show. I wanted to cover more games. I wanted to talk about more games. And I always felt like kind of just, I don't know, just kind of stymied a little bit. I mean, I love those guys. They're all amazing. But it just was very difficult scheduling something like that. So at that point, we had done like 150 episodes or something. And I'm like, well, okay, whatever. Long story short, I ended up starting Videogames through a series of events. And I just figured, like I just said, I would just do this forever, basically. So here we are, almost 500 episodes later and still going strong. I mean, I feel like I'm in a pretty good groove, with the exception of having my weekly schedule completely derailed like it is this week. But still going to do this show and still going to do one more for the next weekend. So this one might come out late, but I'm still going to do another one right after that. And we're not going to miss an episode. I'm trying to think if I've ever missed an episode. Thinking. I don't think so. If we've ever, I mean, we've been late for sure. I mean, there's been life happening. There's been events. I don't know. Things crop up. So we've certainly been late with episodes, definitely. But I'm not sure that I've ever missed one. If so, only like one or two, not many, because I definitely have a work ethic and I'm committed to the podcast. So will I get to 1,000? I sure hope so. I hope I'll get to 1,500, 2,000, 3,000. Who knows? I'm going to keep doing it for as long as games keep coming out, as long as the United States offers its citizens electricity, as long as I am free to play video games, which I guess maybe not a thing in the future. Who knows? A lot of turmoil happening here in America right now, fascism and a lot of bad shit. So as long as games are available to me, I will be planning on making more podcasts, and hopefully we will all be free to listen to them and to make them and all that kind of stuff. So yes, there you go. There's that answer. Yes. Okay. Next question comes from My Tainted Brain, or also My Tainted Brian, whichever one you prefer. He says, so the World Cup has just finished over here. Viva España. Did you watch any? No, I did not. Was there any excitement or buzz in your locality about the games? There was. We had a couple of games hosted here in Seattle, I'm pretty sure. In case you can't tell, I am not a sports ball fan. I don't play sports. I don't watch sports. I don't enjoy sports. That's a whole other podcast. We don't have to get into that right now. But I have lots of interests. I like lots of things. I do lots of things. I know lots of things. Lots of things keep my attention, but sports is not one of them for a number of reasons. And we can, like I said, we can talk about that later. So I don't really follow that at all. But there were a number of like watch parties. I live in a very diverse neighborhood, and there's lots of soccer fans around where I live, at the nearby school, the high school, and also a nearby community center, and also a nearby park. There were watch parties for the World Cup. I know there was like a hojillion people in town for whatever games were happening here. I heard some people who I have never in my life heard talk about sports before talk about sports. And I'm like, I had no idea you were a soccer fan. And most of the time they were like, I'm not, but this is so exciting. So I don't spend a lot of time with people who are intrinsically sports fans. My circle just doesn't run that way. I mean, it's not like I'm intentionally excluding sports people, but I think just our interests don't naturally align. So in my inner circle, nobody was talking about it, but I met plenty of people, talked to plenty of people who are aware of it. And there was certainly some buzz here in town. There were certainly traffic jams. That's for fucking sure. So there you go. I believe I answered the sports question already. I do not play sports. Nothing in a league, nothing professionally, nothing organized. I do go to the park with our local group of families, and we have a bunch of kids who get together. We do park day where all the families get together and play. And on that day, maybe I'll do a little badminton. I've been known to bat a shuttlecock from time to time. I might kick a ball around with the kids. We might throw a ball. We play cornhole sometimes, horseshoes, like casual stuff like that. But I am not a sports guy. I am not built for sports. I don't enjoy sports. I don't enjoy that kind of thing. Do I play sports video games? Absolutely not. Literally, that's one of the only genres I absolutely avoid. I avoid driving games unless they are super sci-fi and have a hook to them. And basically all sports games I avoid. The only sports games I ever play, probably Blood Bowl, which is kind of like American football, but replaced with Warhammer monsters. And it's also a turn-based strategy, similar to like an XCOM. So I wonder if it's even sports. It feels more like a tabletop RPG than it does a football game. So Blood Bowl is something that I play. Literally racking my brain to see if I play anything else that's sports related, and I don't think so. Okay. I think that was it. Brian has a couple of comments here that do not seem like questions. And then at the end, he says, thanks for the shows. Always enjoyable and interesting. You are welcome. Thank you for listening. You are also enjoyable and interesting. And he says, as Ron mentioned, episode 500 is nearing. Will there be cake? There will not be cake. I've mentioned this before. I'm not big on celebrating things in general. That's also a long story. We can get into that at a certain point at some undetermined time in the future. But I actually don't celebrate a lot of stuff. No particular reason. I mean, I have reasons, but nothing specific. It's not like I'm a Jehovah's Witness or I have some kind of religious opposition or whatever. I don't know. I think my basic life philosophy can kind of be summed up in I celebrate a lot of little things every day, and therefore I don't really focus on like big events or big numbers, which has caused problems. I mean, I think in the past it was a little bit of a learning curve for me and the wife to kind of find a happy medium on that. And I was not a great husband in the past because she would want to look forward to certain things and I was not feeling it for whatever reason. And so that caused some friction in a while, but I feel like over the last 21 years of marriage, I think we have ironed that out basically. And we found a good homeostasis for us. So I think we're fine on that now. For example, My wife's birthday is not until November, and I got her 3 birthday presents this week. Just because I saw something that she would like. I didn't want it to go away. I wanted to grab it before it was gone. I grabbed it, gave it to her. Happy birthday. Can I get credit for this in November? She said, yes, you sure can. So that's how we roll. That's how we roll. I do my best to remember the actual days and the numbers, but sometimes I don't. But I do mean well, and I do celebrate other things, and people are special to me, etc., etc. So hopefully I've answered your question there, Brian. And if you want to know more, we can certainly talk more about other things, other aspects of my upbringing. Why do I make the choices I make? Why am I like I am? Why am I this way? We can talk about that later on. Eugene Sachs, video maker, review writer, fellow game critics has a question. He says, what type of genre mashups would you like to see more of? I would love for there to be more horror RPGs, for example, like Kudelka, Parasite Eve, so forth, but wondered if there are any other genre mashups you would like to see. Man, Kudelka, who the fuck are you, dude? That is a deep cut. That is a deep cut. I actually just sold my copy of that like last month or so. I had a copy for a long time. That was a favorite of mine because that was the prequel to the original Shadow Hearts, which was for a long time one of my favorite RPGs of all time, being a horror RPG. Shadow Hearts number 1, I want to specify. So I love turn-based with anything. I am a big fan of turn-based gameplay because I like to really think about my options. I like that there's no real-time factor involved. I like that I can kind of just pore over things and think about things and strategize and, you know, use my brain pan in that particular way. So I would like turn-based with like literally anything. For example, I just talked about Blood Bowl, which is like American football, which I actually don't give a rat's ass about. But when you make it a turn-based thing, all of a sudden I'm like, okay, so maybe this is interesting. I like the turn-based aspect of it. Turn-based horror, absolutely yes. That's very interesting to me. I have played Parasite Eve. I have played Kudelka. I think I've played most of the horror RPGs or / turn-based games that have made it to console. Not PC, but console. So I enjoy those quite a bit. What else would I like to see? Gosh, I think what I really like, so I like horror a lot. It's funny you bring that up because I watch a lot of horror movies. The wife and I do watch a lot of horror movies. I got her into it. She was not a horror person at first, and now I think that she is a horror person. And I would like to see horror crossed with other genres. We're starting to see a resurgence, or not a resurgence, a surgence of horror plus farming. There are a number of games in the pipe right now that are kind of like Stardew Valley, but they have a horror aspect to them. I think one of the first ones that I encountered was Graveyard Keeper. The masterpiece known as Graveyard Keeper, which I need to get back to because I'm like 65 hours into my 3rd playthrough, having never beaten the game. And the sequel, Graveyard Keeper 2, is coming out this year. I am fucked. I am so fucked. I need to get back and finish that fucking game. It is such a beast of a game, though. It is so huge. There's so much to do. It is massive. That game is so massive. I got to get back to it, though. But I would like horror plus anything. Horror plus farming, horror plus dancing, horror plus turn-based tactics. I love horror plus turn-based tactics. That's my fucking jam, dude. That's my favorite. You know, I just finished Sumerian 6. That had a number of horror elements to it, even though it was more of like a World War II story. But that had a lot of horror. That was great. Lamplighters League, which was my game of the year when it came out. Fucking amazing. Turn-based tactics plus Cthulhu Cosmic Horror. Fucking is so good. So good. So I think I want to see more of turn-based plus anything, just because I like the style. I like that style. Staying on the horror tip for a second, one thing that I absolutely don't want to see more of is first-person psychological horror. Like, I get emails for those type of games. Literally, I get 5 emails about those things every fucking day. Every fucking day, there's like 5 new first-person psychological horror games, and I honestly can't tell them apart. They all look the same. If you took a screenshot of each of those games, you wouldn't be able to tell them apart. I mean, you just couldn't. They've all got a hand with a flashlight, or they've got a hand holding a match or a candle. They're in a dark hallway. It's always dark as fuck. And then there's always some goopy monster approaching from out of the darkness. They're all the same. They're all the fucking same. You find a bunch of notes. So what I would like to see is horror plus anything else. Like, I want to see more third-person horror. I want to see more isometric horror. I want to see more turn-based horror. I want to see horror in literally any other context other than motherfucking first-person psychological horror, which is so played out. It is so boring and so dull. I can't play even one more of those. I can't. I'm done. So Now, those are, I think, the mashups that I would think. Definitely staying on the horror tip because I am a horror fan. Um, one other thing that I think that I would like to see, I would really like to see more specifically turn-based plus zombie stuff. There's a couple of those out, and they're mostly on the Switch, and I think I've played them all already. Some of them are kind of puzzly, but I don't really see many of them taking like an actual straight up turn-based tactics kind of approach. I would love to see a turn-based zombie thing where like you've got to survive, you've got a group of survivors, you're fighting them off, you're in a horde, you're holding people off in a gas station, anything like that. I think would be great. I would love to see that, and also I would love to see more dating simulators or romance simulators, but mixed with other stuff as well. Not just that, but like other thing, adventure plus dating, horror plus dating, sci-fi plus dating. I think dating sims are really fun, but a lot of them are kind of just straight ahead, just about the dating. But I would like other elements in there as well. You're fighting off monsters and you're dating people. You're surviving in the wasteland and you're dating people. Something like that. Maybe date a mutant. Maybe date a zombie. Who knows? I don't know. I think there's a lot of stuff to explore there. So, okay, that I could go on all day. There's a lot of games I would like to see. Eugene, I hope I've answered your question. There you go. And let's see. I think those are all the questions. Yes, those are all the questions. Thank you very much for those questions, y'all. I love getting those. And if you are listening to this podcast and you want to ask me a question, please do. You are absolutely more than welcome. I love questions. I'll talk about questions all day. I'll answer any questions. We'll talk about games. We'll talk about marriage, love, sex advice. We'll talk about food. We'll talk about movies, anything you want, whatever you want. I love questions. I've got an opinion about friggin' everything, just about. So if you want to ask something, the best way to do that is to get inside of the Discord. And I know that I promised that earlier. Have we talked about it yet? We have not talked about it yet. All you got to do is get in touch with me. Just say, yo, I listen to the show. I'd like to be in the Discord. Boom, you're in. It's free of charge. We'll get to that. No problem. I think I just rewrote the script. I used to say it at the top of the show. Now I say it at the bottom of the show, and I'm still not used to it. Okay. Let's see. We did that. No circle backs this week because I've been spending all my time on the stuff I'm about to talk about. Heads up, YouTube is still a thing. YouTube.com/@GameCritics.com videos. Eugene, who just asked a question, pours his heart and soul into the YouTube channel. Bunch of trailers went up this week. A whole bunch of stuff got released. So there's a bunch of new stuff there. We're climbing up the algorithm slowly but surely. There's also video reviews, back issues of this particular podcast, and I believe also the GameCritics.com podcast. Stuff to find, stuff to enjoy over there. Check it out. And I think that's it. We got 2 games for me to get through, and then we shall bring on my wife. All right, let's get to it, folks. Actually, last minute announcement. Hang on a second. Boy, this is like quite the patchwork show, huh? Just got an email from PR announcing something which I find is pretty surprising. Darkest Dungeon, the first one, not the second one. The first one is getting surprise DLC launching on August 18th. It's called The Fire's Edge. Red Hook Studios, I'm reading the PR release here, is going back to the original Darkest Dungeon, launching new DLC for the first time in over 6 years. It includes 2 new characters, the Duelist and the Runaway, plus some features from Darkest Dungeon 2, more to be revealed. Interesting. Didn't see that coming, and I think surprise DLC seems to be kind of a theme lately. Man, sorry. Darkest Dungeon, one of my favorite games of all time, the original, definitely one of my favorite games of all time. Didn't really care for Darkest Dungeon 2. They kind of changed up too much of the formula. It didn't quite work for me, so I didn't play very much of it. But I haven't played the original Darkest Dungeon in a long time, at least 6 years, if not more, because I didn't care for the very last DLC. I thought they kind of, this didn't work for me. Would I go back to check this out? I mean, honestly, no, because when I played Darkest Dungeon, I put more than 200 hours into it. I finished the game, collected all the items, beat all the bosses, all the extra stuff, did the DLCs. I did basically everything you could do. In fact, I've said this before on the show, but like, I liked just playing that game so much, which is really rare for me because I'm usually goals oriented. I liked playing Darkest Dungeon so much. I made $1 million in game just because, for no other reason than to set a personal goal of, you know what? I'm just going to make $1 million because that'll give me a reason to keep playing this game because I want to keep playing this game. I never do that, but I did for this game. So I did basically everything, but that was on the Switch. That was on Switch #1. I'm not sure. I'm looking at the PR release. It does not, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but it does not seem that they are going to bring this DLC to the Switch. Looks like PC for sure. It looks like they're also mentioning Xbox. I don't see mention of anything else on here. So I mean, not only is it so hard to go back to a game that's been out for so long, but also to go, I mean, is it going to be even playable from the start? Probably not. That's not how the other DLCs worked. I mean, maybe, who knows? I don't know. It's exciting because I think Darkest Dungeon itself is a cool game. So I always like to see cool games keep on getting support, but I don't know. And maybe this is not for me. Maybe that time has passed, but anyway, interesting, very interesting announcement. Go ahead and check that out if you like. More information will be coming soon. Okay, moving on to the game that I was just about to talk about, Culdcept Begins. Man, Culdcept. I'm sure that most people listening to this podcast, maybe a couple y'all, but I bet a lot of people who are listening to this podcast have probably never even heard of Culdcept. It originally debuted, oh boy, I want to say probably close to 20 years ago, around that time. And it was on PlayStation 1, maybe? Oh, okay, fuck it. I gotta look it up, God damn it. Okay, just Googled it and checked it out. Actually, fuck Google, it was DuckDuckGo, whatever. The first Culdcept to be released in America, 2003. So 23 years ago was the first Culdcept. Man, oh boy, that was a game that I put a lot of time into. I played the fuck out of that game. That was a great ass game. I'm sure many people have not heard about it. I think the last time a Culdcept game came out, I may be wrong, but I feel like it was at least like 5 or 10 years ago, maybe closer to 10 years. And this game has just never really gotten a lot of traction except in very niche circles. So what is Culdcept at its core? Okay, so it's basically a combination of Monopoly and Magic the Gathering. And I feel like that captures it pretty well. But if you're not familiar with either or both of those games or how that works, let me go into a little further detail here. Basically, you take a character and you're on a board, and it's exactly like the Monopoly board where you go around a board and it's divided up into little squares, and you roll dice and you move as many squares as you roll dice. It's not always in a square though. Sometimes you'll get like a figure 8 or a weird shape or a shape that has like side paths and little diversions and stuff like that. There's also little features on the board. Basically, okay, how to say this without it sounding too complicated, because it's really not complicated. So you roll your dice, you go around, and the board is divided up into 4 colors: red, yellow, green, and blue. That stands for fire, air, forest, and water. Yes, plants / forest and water. So you go around the board and you get a certain amount of money every time you pass go, and when there's like a secondary go on the board as well. So you get money like twice around the board. You buy squares when you land on them, and how you buy them is like you summon a monster to go on that square. So that's where the Magic the Gathering part comes in. You have a bunch of cards. This is like a deck builder also. So you summon a monster. The monster holds the square for you, and then you move on. And so that's how you own the square. So basically, you just keep going around the board until you buy enough squares, and you can upgrade them just like you're putting a house or a hotel like on Monopoly. Same thing. Like you go around, upgrade the square, and when you upgrade a square, the monster on it gets stronger, and then you just keep buying squares until you have enough money to hit a goal. Say, for example, like a basic goal would be like get $7,000 in value and then cross the finish line. So you're buying squares, you're upgrading stuff. Every time you buy something, that value gets added to your total. Every time you upgrade something, that value gets added to your total. And when you've got $7,000 worth of property / monsters, you cross the finish line and you win. So it's pretty straightforward. But the hook of this comes when there's always somebody else playing. Now, in general, you can play between 2 and 4 people. And Culdcept has always had a campaign mode. So you can go into the campaign and play by yourself. You'll play against AI opponents. And so you are playing basically magical Monopoly against somebody else. And the fun of this and the intrigue and the addiction comes when you land on an opponent's square, or an opponent lands on your square. Free squares are up for purchase for anybody, but if you buy a square and you have a monster on it and the opponent lands on your square, then you fight. So it's not just that they pay you toll, you got to fight. So it depends on how strong your monster is on the land. Are there any bonus effects, etc., etc.? Do you have any special cards you can use on them, like armor and weapons? And the enemy might have another monster that wants to take your monster out. And there's all sorts of, layers to that, just like in Magic. Like some monsters are better against others. It's not necessarily a paper, rock, scissors thing. It's just about some monsters are regular strength. Some are extra tough. Some are heavy defense. Some are heavy offense. Some have first strike, which lets them go first and can kill the other monster before they get a chance to retaliate. There's all sorts of like ins and outs to the cards that kind of like add layers and give you strategy, and you can build a good deck to take out an opponent, and you can steal people's land. And if they land on your land and they lose the battle, then they got to pay you the value of your land, which in the beginning is no big deal. But after you've leveled it up a couple times, you get the equivalent of like a Monopoly hotel in there. It can be a lot of money. And so that like will knock them back. And so just imagine Monopoly, but you're fighting every time you land on someone's railroad or land on someone's, park place or something like that. So that's basically what the game is. It works wonderfully well. It's so fun. I think that if you like Monopoly, but especially if you like Magic the Gathering or anything approximating that, I think you're going to be in great shape because it's just really fun. So, okay, so that's what Culdcept in general is. It's good. It's a good game. I've always really enjoyed it. I put a shitload of hours into the first one and the second one. But the thing that really made it even better was you could always play with a friend. And playing this with a real person is like the shit. Now listen, I realize I am not Mr. Online. I'm not Mr. Multiplayer. You all know that. You know that I'm definitely like solo player. I generally don't like to do multiplayer anything. And if I do, it's with my wife. I will never play this game with my wife ever, because it will start like a big fucking fight, and I don't need that. So I will only play against other people. But shout out to my good friend Doug Walsh from back in the day, also known as Enduro Gamer, because he's a tough guy. He did a lot of like long distance running and biking and all this stuff. He's like super fit dude. Always jealous of that. Good guy. But he used to work for Brady Games back in the day, and I think is that how we met? I forget how we met. He probably met me through Game Critics, but he was writing strategy guides for Brady Games, and so we got to know each other online, and then it turned out he lived, ironically, only like 20 minutes from me back in the day. So we talked for a while. We decided we wanted to meet up and play some games. I drove over to his house. He had a really nice house. He had a lovely wife. He had a couple dogs back then. It was all cool. He's a cool guy. We hung out, and then he would show me stuff that he was working on for Brady Games. I would talk about reviews and have some early code to share, etc., etc. It was great. So anyway, Doug and I both got into Culdcept like pretty fucking heavily. It was a pretty fierce rivalry. He was like definitely Mr. Defense. I was definitely Mr. Offense. And we would like, meet up. You could play it in person. You could also play it online. And it was just really, really fucking fun. I thought it was just like fantastic. So anyway, this is a great game just by sake of being a game. So now we're talking about Culdcept Begins, which is the most recent one. It just came out a week ago, give or take. So it's pretty new. Takes the same core of Culdcept, the game I just described, and kind of like repackages it for a whole new generation. There is a story campaign where you play... Oh, geez. Okay. I mean, whatever. I will say the story campaign is boring. It's super boring. It is like this twee anime, really just like dull, kind of like a lot of stuff about stuff you don't care about, and a lot of nouns that you don't really connect to, and it just hurts my brain thinking about it. I do not like the campaign. I'm playing the campaign because I'm not playing this with anybody online, and I want to play the campaign matches. Good way to get experience, good way to refresh your memory about the game, good way to jump back in. But honest to God, I'm skipping all the cutscenes, and I rarely do that. You guys know. When you get to the point in a game where you're skipping cutscenes, that's bad news. But for this game, I'm skipping them from the get-go because I just don't care. I just don't care about this kid who's like got a magical destiny, and his dad was somebody, and this whole thing, and he's at a magical academy, and I'm just like, oh no, I don't care. So I have been skipping that. I have no idea what's going on in the story now, and it just doesn't matter to me. I'm still skipping them. So I think the story mode is not great. Do not care for that. I will also say that they have revamped the art style, and I don't like it, yo. Like, I really don't like it. I mean, I get that art is subjective. Everybody's got their own taste. It just feels kind of like some kind of weird offshoot of like an early, it feels like a little bit like, oh, I don't know, vaguely reminiscent of like Final Fantasy Tactics or something. And I get that has a lot of fans, but that particular art style does not connect with me. Do not care for it. I don't like it here. It's kind of sharp and angular a little bit. The faces are kind of bland. I just don't care for it visually. And unfortunately, that kind of transfers into the cards as well. It's very stylized, but in a style that I don't care for. So I don't really like the way it looks. And I think that when you're playing the game, it's not bad, but it's not like hyper legible. Like I feel like they leaned a little bit more into the artistic vibes of it. And it doesn't just have like straight up like board game legibility that you might expect of something like this. It's not bad at all, but it doesn't, to me, like looking at pictures of the game side by side, I definitely prefer the old school version. Just kind of simpler pixel art, kind of cuter, more attractive, easier to read on the eyes. I'm playing on the Switch too, by the way. And but it plays fine though. I'm not trying to say that it's hard to read or that you can't play it at all. Not at all. I just don't care for the aesthetics of it. I don't like the art style. So I think that's an issue as well. But if you are interested in something that combines Magic the Gathering and Monopoly and you want a good place to get into it, I think it's great. I mean, I like the game itself. Is online multiplayer. I have not engaged in any of that. There used to be couch co-op back in the day. That is not available as far as I can tell. And I know that some Culdcept fans are pretty upset about that because there's a lot of folks who like to play with a buddy right next to you. It really does add to the experience when you take somebody's land, stick them the bill, and you can look them in the eye and kind of laugh a little bit. Not that I do that. Not that I endorse trash talk, but it can add spice to the proceedings. And so I know a lot of people are kind of bummed about that. Maybe they'll patch it in later. Who knows? There's no reason they couldn't. I absolutely think they could. They just didn't for some reason. But online is your only choice if you want to go play against other real people, which is really where the juice of this is, like you got to play the campaign a little bit to learn the ropes, unlock some new cards, customize things, get your, find your sea legs. And then once you're good, then you can go online and play some other folks. But, I'm still unraveling this. I'm definitely a series vet, but like I said, I haven't played this game or this series for at least 5 or 10 years. So definitely a little rusty, but I think the old strategies are coming back. I still think the game is great, even though I don't like the campaign mode and I don't like the graphics or graphical style, I should say. I do not like the art style, but still a great game, still chipping away, still doing a couple matches a night. I'm definitely like losing though. I need to really like kind of lock in and figure out new strategies and new synergies. And that's very much like the deck building of Magic the Gathering. I used to play a lot of Magic the Gathering. I'm not sure if that I've talked about it here on the show. I feel like I must have. But back in the day, I was actually a paid Magic the Gathering professional. That was my job. I was playing Magic professionally for a comic shop that was in my area here in Washington State. Magic was huge. I remember when Magic debuted and nobody knew what it was and how do you play a game with cards and what does this even mean? And we got our boxes in and we knew it was from a guy that lived around here. And so we were all kind of curious about it. And once we figured out how to play, we were like in. So I took off with this pretty quickly and I became the Magic Pro at my store. So I would like play games with people who wanted to know how to play this game. I would teach them. People could come in and challenge me. And if they won, they'd get like a discount at the store to buy something. And then I would work the counter. I would sell people cards. I would, look for cards. We'd wheel and deal and trade and stuff. That was a fun time. My boss was a complete fucking dickhead. Fucking low account, no ethics, really shady kind of guy. But the store was fun, the customers were fun, and it was a good time. So I have a lot of fond memories of Magic the Gathering, and like building decks and looking for synergies and putting cards together is always really a great time. It still is today. Magic is still going strong after all these years. And I think a little bit of that flavor is captured here in Culdcept. So if you like Magic, if you like Monopoly, if the sound of combining those is intriguing to you, I think this is definitely worth checking out. I think this is something that you could put some time into and build and chip away at and just have fun with, whether you take it online or not. So I will report back on this one. I am still kind of like getting my feet and still going through the campaign to unlock more cards and to, just see where the game goes, I guess. So I'll report back once I get further. I will definitely plan on rolling credits, and we'll just see what happens there. So that is Culdcept Begins, playing it on the Switch 2. All right, checking in from the front lines. I feel like I should do one of those monologues that people made fun of on the Civil War. The meme where it's like someone would like, "Dearest Margaret, I'm here on the front lines. Things are growing grim. We've only 3 oat biscuits left and 1 bullet saved for myself." Like one of those fucking things. It is now July 23rd. This is, I think, the longest it's ever taken me to get the podcast out the door. This ongoing saga. One of these days it'll get out the door, and I still do intend to get another episode out on Sunday. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, picking it back up. A couple of news things had popped up since the last time I recorded. Today is the first day of San Diego Comic-Con. And as y'all know, that's like the epicenter for nerd things of all types, which is great. Just seen some related items here. I'm keeping a very close eye on the action figure releases because that's who I am. There are 3 Legend of Zelda action figures that just got announced coming from Hasbro. I'm not much of a Zelda guy, so this doesn't really do much for me, but I know there's a lot of Zelda fans out there. And it looks like these are the more recent. I don't know exactly which version of Zelda, Link, and Ganon it is. I think it's the Breath of the Wild version, I think. Don't quote me on that, though. So those are out. Go ahead and track those down. I bet they're going to get snapped up pretty quickly, so maybe you want to pre-order somewhere. The other announcement that just came out literally like 5 minutes ago is that Hasbro, doing a lot of the crossovers this year, is doing a collaboration between G.I. Joe and Tomb Raider. So there's now going to be a G.I. Joe classified style. And if you don't know what that is the modern series of G.I. Joe, updated models, updated articulation. Pretty cool. I like the G.I. Joe classified quite a bit. So G.I. Joe classified version of Lara Croft. And she looks like her reboot from, I don't know how many years back, the violent one where she was like on the island. I'm pretty sure that's the version, although the coloration seems to suggest that it's like classic Laura. It's kind of a mix of the two, I think, because she's definitely got some of the bloody version's gear, but the coloration is thinking maybe they're doing a mix. So maybe a combo Laura, a blending of the Lauras, as it were. So you can pre-order that. Just became available 5 minutes ago. So by the time you hear this, hopefully it's still available if you want to track one of those down. So there you go. Okay, next game. Another surprise DLC and a string of surprise DLCs this year. Last Variable. This is the DLC to The Alters. I mentioned this a while ago. The Alters was my game of the year when it came out. Really had a great time with it. And I was not expecting DLC, but here it is. Was happy to jump back in. So you can go back to earlier episodes and listen to what we said about The Alters. We talked about it quite a bit. I thought it was pretty brilliant. And if in a nutshell, in case you don't know what The Alters is, it's third person resource management and like very, very, very light action elements with some base building at its core. The story is like a guy is on a space mission. He gets sent to some faraway planet. He crashes. He's the only survivor. Everybody else gets killed on impact. And he needs to survive. The only way he can do that is by cloning himself, but they're not regular clones. These are clones from other, I don't know, multiverses, I guess, or like every choice that was significant in his life branched off and created a different version of himself. And so he can clone himself from different walks of life, basically. So like the main guy you get is like a builder. Basic, his name is Jan. Basic Jan is just a builder, but you can clone like a doctor. If he had gone to school, he had become a doctor. If he had stayed in the Peace Corps, he would have become, I forget what it is, like an ecologist or something. And if he had stood up to his dad, he would have become a guard. And if he had stopped drinking, he would have become psychologist or, like that. So it's the same guy, and they take clones from these alternate pathways in his life. That's the main game. It's not much of a spoiler to say that in the main game, one of your alters, the scientist, I think it was just straight up scientist, I believe. Straight up scientist is really fascinated with the planet that you have landed on. And when it's time for all of the Yans to go back to Earth, which is one of the potential outcomes, I'm not going to spoil anything here. I think it's pretty obvious he wants to get back home. That's the whole point of the game. One of the alters is like, no, I'm actually going to stay here. I don't want to go back. I'm really fascinated by this planet and the weird stuff that's happening here, and I don't want to go. So I believe, is it optional that he stays, or maybe he always stays? I can't remember, but long story short, this DLC is based on the premise that the scientist alter stays behind on the planet. All the other Yans go back to Earth and whatever. But you pick up with this Yan, and I'm not gonna, I'm doing my best not to spoil anything. So you just start up and you have salvaged the remnants of your base. You've created a new base for yourself. You're in the same planet. You're near some of your discoveries, and things have changed quite a bit. Some time has passed since the end of the main game, and so you're picking up the pieces, trying to figure out what's going on. You really want to uncover one of the main secrets of the game. I'm not going to talk about it now, but there is something happening on the planet that is very unusual, and Scientist Jan is just really drawn to it and wants to figure out what's going on. So it's just him. He cannot do this by himself. Taking a cue from the main game, he decides to alter or clone himself, but he himself is already an alter. He is not the main Jan. Main Jan was Builder, if you recall. This is Scientist. So he's already like one removed from the main reality timeline, I guess. So he clones himself, but he can only clone himself from the branch that he's already on. So he's already a scientist. That means that the people he clones, by definition, would have to also be scientists, but he needs other help. He doesn't want to just clone himself the 4 times or whatever. He needs to have different perspectives, different skill sets, different knowledge bases. And so he clones other variations of scientists to help him out. And I believe this is not a series. It's just like your core scientist, Jan. That's your character. You get like a physicist, biologist, chemist, and geologist. That's what you are. You get four more versions of yourself, but they are all relegated to the science branch, I guess. So just be ready for that. Once you clone yourself, you have to do some stuff on the planet. It's interesting because at the very beginning of the game, they say, well, we've constructed this base. We have figured out how to live here. And with all the technology that we salvaged from the original game, we basically can be here for like infinity if we want to. I haven't proven this, but it feels like it's the game's way of saying you can actually take as much time as you want to complete this DLC, because in the main game you had a lot of time pressure, severe time pressure, because the sunrise in this planet is deadly. Whenever the sun rises, it just scorches everything on the face of the planet, and you would die if you got caught in a sunrise. So you were always racing against the sun. You wanted to keep ahead of it. You wanted to stay in the shadow. You wanted to stay on the dark side of the planet. So that time pressure was pretty intense. Really led to some crazy moments. In this particular game, they say, actually we figured out how to survive the sunrise, so it's not that big a deal. I mean, it is a big deal, but it's not like game ending, basically. So once you start with that, you have the knowledge of like, as long as you have enough resources, you can, I assume, play this game for as long as you want, or as long as it takes, necessarily. So that's interesting. I think it's a good direction for the DLC to take, to not exactly replicate the exact same thing as the main game. You don't have the same time pressure, and that was good. I think that maybe some people will feel like, oh, well, I could just take forever, and that just seems dull. There's no reason to hurry. And I mean, I guess that's true as far as I know, but I do appreciate the change of pace. The alters, as much as I loved it, and again, it was my game of the year, was really, it was just really intense. There was a lot going on, a lot of things to balance. I think I restarted it either once or twice to try to min-max what I was doing, because I felt like the time pressure was really crushing down on me. And eventually I got to the point that I had mastered all the systems, and that felt really good to do, but it was a lot of stress. And I think jumping into this DLC, I was not really wanting to replicate that stress. So I'm glad that the developers did something different. Your focus is pretty different. And it's weird too, because it took me a minute to figure out how to even play the game again. I haven't played it since it came out, which was 2 years ago, I think, something like that. And so once I jump back in, the way that the DLC is set is like, they assume you're just playing it right after you beat the main game. So there are tutorials. There's a couple for mostly the new systems that are introduced in the DLC, but like I had to remember like what I was even doing. I was like, wait a minute, how do I fight the enemies, and what does this resource do? And what am I supposed to do when my guy gets radiation poisoning? And how, you know, like it's all stuff that if I had just finished the main game, I would have immediately known because I just finished the main game. But having that long pause in between, it took me a minute to find my feet again. So that was a bit of a learning curve, but I did think that the pressure was off because I knew there's no time pressure there. So that's good. New systems in the game are let me see if I can, what can I say without spoiling it? At some point, you're going to want to build a secondary base. I'll just say that. Like, you're going to expand your explorable territory. So that's something that you deal with. There are some interesting ramifications there. Trying to be careful not to say anything. And then also the biggest thing I think is there's a new system of pipes. This was not in the main game. So you have your old system of mining for resources, sending those resources back to base, use those to expand your base, to build items, to build shielding to protect yourself from radiation, so forth and so on. But this new pipe system, you have a whole bunch of new gear to have, new things that you have researched on your own. So you got to do all the original drill stuff too. You need that stuff as well. But then you go and you set this new stuff up. So basically, in addition to the drilling, you have these extractors, which use a different set of pipes. So you have like your drill, and those are connected to some pipes. And you got the extractors, those are connected to pipes. And so you have to have all these pipes like running concurrently and side by side with each other. And the point of this is like you want to use these resources in a different way, which requires the different machines. And I think that honestly, this is like one of the biggest challenges of this game is just figuring out the pipe system, because you can set up pipes wherever you want to go as long as you have enough resources to make more pipes. But on the map, there are these geysers. And at first I was like, why are these fucking geysers all over the place? I don't know what they do. And eventually you find out that certain machines that you need in order to make the pipe system work must be placed on a geyser. I don't know. They use like geothermal energy to run or something. Who knows? I don't know. It doesn't matter. So what this means is you cannot set up your most important pieces of machinery just anywhere. They've got to be on very specific points. So for example, you can set pipes anywhere you want to go, but when you need to mix two substances, let's say you've got some rubidium, which is the sci-fi element from the first game, rubidium, it has time effects. You set some rubidium pipes up, and then you have some mineral pipes up, and you want to mix the rubidium with the minerals. You can mix that anywhere. That's fine. They love it. You mix that stuff. The pipes can go anywhere. But if you need to do something called phasing to the minerals, or if you need to double the minerals, that requires a special machine, and you must put that machine on a geyser. So who cares? What about this? Well, there's very limited geysers. I mean, there's a good number on the map, but at first it seems like no big deal. Here's one geyser, put my thing there. Okay, good, done. But as you go through the game, the escalating difficulty of managing the pipe system is pretty challenging. I think because it's hard to keep it all straight in your head about which substance needs to go to which other substance, and where do you need to mix them, and then once you mix them, how do you move the pipes around, and then where does it need to go, and all the pipes eventually have to go to your base. And it seems pretty straightforward like on paper, but I think one of the difficulties I kept having was like, number one, it's hard to remember which goes to which one. Number two, the limit of the geysers mean you cannot put machines wherever it would be most convenient. Sometimes you're running pipe like a real fucking long way around like a mountain or over a valley or something, because you need to get to the nearest geyser, and the nearest geyser is fuck all away. So it can be like, oh my God, like how do I even get this pipe over there? And there's like hills and valleys and ridges and things that the pipes have to like go over and under. And in general, it's fine. But there's a couple places where I felt like, I don't know if the developers just overlooked it or if they were being trolls or something, but like you'd see like a little ridge that your guy couldn't get over. And it seemed like you could kind of like maneuver him to put a pipe on top of that ridge to kind of create a shortcut. And most of the time it worked, but sometimes it was like it almost worked and didn't quite work. And I would spend a lot of time trying to get that shortcut to happen. And oh man, some of this just didn't happen. And it just really was very frustrating when it couldn't get it happen. I wish the developers had been a little bit more forgiving about that, or had given you perhaps a different tool of some kind. Like sometimes I wanted something to boost up my pipes a little bit, like a little bit higher, like a riser. Sometimes I wanted to lower them. I'm sure it would have been adding complication, but I think raising or lowering your pipes would have been pretty hugely helpful. And and it's not always a straight shot. So like you spend a lot of time on the map trying to figure out where goes where. And as you get to the end of the game, I feel like I'm very close to the end of the game right now, and you're making like the most difficult combination of materials. It's like, oh my fucking God. I literally had to get a piece of paper and a pen out, and I was like, okay, I can't keep this straight in my head. I need to start from scratch. So what is the base material? And then I need to do what with that? And then how many times do I need to double it to get extra pipelines going? And then which one goes east and which one goes west? And then when I go west, where's the minerals? And do I phase the minerals or do I not phase? No. I phase the minerals on the east and I keep them unphased on the west. And then I run that pipe over. Oh my God, it doesn't go because there's a fucking mountain there. Fuck you, mountain. I got to run the pipe all the way back, around the swamp, around the corner, through the tunnel, back up the thing. Okay, now I'm finally where I need to go. Oh shit. There's already a pipe there and it's blocking the way. God damn it, got to undo this pipe. It's like that. It was like that for like 3 hours. I was like, oh my God, I know basically what I need to do, but getting all those pipes to work in the right way and not mixing up the wrong things is difficult. And I think the thing that really complicates that is you cannot do it from like an overhead God's view interface. You have to go into third person mode and run around the landscape. And so that part to me was really frustrating because you can set up little fast travel points. You can set up as many as you wish. I just didn't set up like, I set up a bunch, but like I didn't set up one every 5 feet, right? So like, there's always a little bit of walking involved. And then sometimes you think a pipe is long enough to reach and it's not. And then your plan to go this way didn't work. You got to go a different way. And just like redoing, oh my God, this pipe's in the way. Got to take this pipe down, set up another pipe. And just like it was a pain. It was a pain. I was really frustrated. I was really angry with it for a while. I got to the last section of this and I was like, oh God damn it. I got to like undo a whole bunch of pipes that don't work anymore. And then I got confused halfway through. I'm like, wait a minute. Am I going east or west? Which way was I supposed to go? I can't remember. And it was just like a nightmare. Just a fucking nightmare. But I believe I've got it figured out. I think I've only got one more pipe to connect and I think I'm good to fucking go. And once I get this connected, home free. Like that's, I believe, the biggest challenge of the game. And the rest of it is just kind of doing mop up stuff. So I'm definitely ready for that. That's great. Whew, that was rough. The last time I've been that pissed off, I think I was fighting the last boss of Sekiro, and that was like one of my most famous like rage outs where it like made me pause the game for 4 years. So I was getting close to that level of rage with these fucking pipes, but I got there. So it's all fine. As far as the writing goes, I think it's fine. I wouldn't mind a little more writing. I think interacting with the different versions of Jan is one of the high points of the original altars, and you do that here. But I think because all the altars are kind of in the science branch, they're all just like different degrees of pissy. And I got to say, I didn't really care for the altars this time around that much. Not as much as I did in the main game, where I definitely had my favorites. I definitely had my least favorites. And like seeing how they interacted was really interesting. There's still some of that here, but I feel like it's scaled back some. It's not as much. And I run out of dialogue pretty quickly. I was a little bit disappointed because something happens in the middle of the game, which I will not spoil. And I'm like, oh, that's like super interesting. I really would like to talk more about this. And there just isn't a lot of dialogue there. So there's dialogue. There's enough to keep it moving. It's fine, but it's nowhere near as much as the main game. And I did feel like I wanted to talk more about certain things. So overall, it's an interesting DLC. It's interesting DLC. I feel like it takes the main game in a different direction. It offers different things, different challenges specifically, but I feel like this is more about well, they take the time pressure away, but then they really increase the resource pressure in terms of the pipes. So it's a different kind of challenge, still challenging, but a different flavor. So I think overall, I really like it, and I have not been able to put it down. It's not as good as the main game of the altars. And would I even say this DLC is necessary? No, I don't think it's necessary. I'm curious to see what the scientist finds out. I mean, I do want to know how the mystery unravels. But if this DLC had never existed, I would not feel as though something was missing. Like I didn't leave the main game of the altars with like a bunch of unanswered questions or feeling like it was a cliffhanger. I was like, okay, he stayed behind and that was his fate and that's cool. And I was okay with that. I didn't really have the burning urge to see more, but I'm glad that it's here. I mean, I'm not mad at it. I've been enjoying it quite a bit. So I think it's good. It's just a different flavor and it taxes your brain in slightly different ways. So we'll see what happens. Like I said, I'm in the home stretch. I'll probably have it done before I record the next podcast. And if I do, I'll say something about it real quickly. But if you liked the altars and you want some more of that, I mean, definitely get into it. It has the same flavor. I think that this particular brand of resource management is really cool. I like that it's not like an RTS interface. I like that it's third person. I like you have a base. You can control things. You have people to assign to different things. I mean, it's cool. I like the altars structurally. in addition to conceptually. I think it's fun to play. I think it's a good version of resource management that works really well on consoles. So I think it's all good stuff. It's all good stuff. So if you like the altars, you want some more of that, it definitely delivers more, but different, but also good different. Definitely weird different. And watch out for those fucking pipes. Watch out for those pipes. More to come on this one when I roll credits, but this is the altars last variable. Playing it on PS. I was going to say PS2. I don't know why I was going to say PS2. Probably because I was thinking of Culdcept. But PS5. PS5 is where I'm playing that. All right, folks. We are in the home stretch here. Again, apologies for this like week-long journey, this death march towards podcast publishing. But hopefully this last section will make up for it. As promised at the top of the show, I am joined by my lovely wife, Gina Galloway.
Hey, everyone.
It's been a long time. Where you been?
Working hard.
What was the last show you were on? It was several years ago, wasn't it?
Was it that long ago?
I feel like we did a couple episodes with Corey, and that was a long time ago. Longer than we think it was.
No, we did.
Did we do something since then?
Yeah, we did something with just the two of us.
What did we do?
Because I remember there being issues with the sound.
There's always issues with the sound. This is the So Videogames podcast, after all. All right, sweetie, I'm glad you're here. Thank you very much for being willing to jump aboard. And the reason that we are, I don't need a reason to bring you on. It's always a pleasure to have you on. But the reason that we are talking together this week is because a game that we just received for the show, Heave Ho 2. You played this with me, correct?
Correct, I did.
Yes, that's not a lie. It's truth.
You did not catch me in a lie.
You didn't catch me either. Okay, good. So Heave Ho 2 is one of these friend slop games that's going around right now. It's one of those, physics-based. It seems to take inspiration from a lot of really tough games that are out at the moment. This one reminds me a lot of Struggling, which I think is absolute genius, but nobody has played except for me. I think I was literally the only person. But in this game, you have like a blob person, and then you use your control stick to move their arms, and then each of your buttons controls one of their hands. Like the left button is the left hand, right button is the right hand, and then you need to grab stuff, right?
Exactly. That's exactly what we did.
That's exactly what we did. Okay, good. So I know that you probably have not played a lot of these type of games. What did you think of the control scheme specifically when you first started?
I have not played a lot of these games because the few times I have, they usually piss me off and I rage quit pretty early on. I don't like that floppy mechanic where things are just flailing around, and I'm gesturing a lot right now, which nobody can see.
It's very cute though, trust me.
I was not expecting to really like it because I have not had great experiences with these before. But this one, I enjoyed it, and I feel like the mechanics for it, they made sense when I was shifting the arms around and stuff like that. So It wasn't quite as haphazard, I think, as some games can feel sometimes with this kind of mechanic.
All right, perfect. Okay, so we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. I wanted to touch on the specifics of the mechanics, but what did we do with those mechanics? I know, sorry. So
fine, sorry.
You want to encapsulate what this game was about, basically? Can you nutshell it?
Well, you're working together, or I guess it seemed like you could actually work against each other too.
If you're a jerk, maybe, but
yeah, if you want to be an asshole, or if you want to, I don't know, ruin your relationship or something.
Yeah.
But basically, you're working together. You're a couple of blobs that are trying to get from point A to point B, and then there's certain barriers along the way. Sometimes there's ice that you can't grab onto, or there's flying things that can hit you in the face. You can just not be able to grab something. So you're swinging kind of back and forth and swinging each other. Sometimes you're helping each other to get across. So there's different barriers that you're going to come across as you get from point A to point B.
Yeah, exactly. So you have the weirdness of the physics, like the floppy physics, like you mentioned. You've got friends. You can play up to 4 people, I believe, in a team effort. Although I don't know why the fuck you'd ever want to do that. Like
that sounds like chaos.
Sounds like
pure chaos.
Even with beer and pizza, that does not sound like a good time to me. Like someone's getting punched at the end of that, and it's just, or people just storming off is how
pizza will be thrown.
Yeah, exactly. Someone's gonna break a bottle and cut a bitch because it's not gonna end well. But so like in the first world, they were all like ice themed. We were like on a ski lodge or something, and so like for example, we would start at the left side of the screen, and I would move my blob to the end, and I would grab the edge with like my left hand, and then holding that button down to keep the grip going, I would extend my right hand, and that's not far enough to reach, so that you would have to like, I don't know, maneuver off the ledge and catch my hand, and then once we had a good grip on each other's hands, we'd form like a little, like a little human chain or whatever, and then you would put your other hand even further out, and hopefully that would like reach something, and then once your hand was on something, then I would let go of mine, and we would slowly like work our way across. I mean, that sounds like amazing fun, doesn't it?
In the way you described it, maybe not so much.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Most of the games that I've played that use this mechanic of like having one button for left hand, one button for right hand, usually they're super hardcore. I played Cairn recently, which I thought was an amazing game. It's probably going to be my game of the year, but it was like incredibly hardcore and very difficult. Struggling, which I mentioned, which is classic, but it's also extremely difficult. These are kind of like maso-core platformers where you've got to be a certain kind of asshole to just make your way through. And most of the time I am that kind of asshole because I do enjoy these once in a while. But this one was like, I mean, including friends is crazy to me because I value our relationship and I don't want to damage that in any way. I work very hard to preserve our connection, and I could, we did okay, right? We did okay. Like, I feel like when we played this, we were communicating well. We were being a pretty good team, like supporting each other. But even with all that, it's still like a lot to manage. Like, where's my left hand? Where's my right hand? Am I holding your left hand or your right hand? Can we swing far?
Yes.
Yeah. Or can we swing far enough? Who needs, and the momentum is weird. Did you feel like the physics were kind of weird in this or no? What was your feeling on that?
Not really. I think I was so focused on, am I holding my left hand or my right hand? Am I holding your hand with my right hand or my left hand? Wait, which trigger am I holding down and which one? So I was very focused on that, the left and the right. For me, I didn't feel, it didn't stand out that it was really wonky or off. I mean, I just, I felt like we were constantly like swinging ourselves back and forth. The times that it felt weird, which I guess is part of the game, was when we were trying to grab onto something that was also moving.
Yeah.
And trying to like time that. And well, actually, now that I think about it, that ice level that we were on, we were on that one ice level, and it was kind of weird trying to get us like in between some of the crevices and stuff like that. And I would expect myself to move a certain way, and then I didn't. So I guess I take that back. There were moments, I think.
Yeah. I felt like, odd. Agreed. I felt like there were certain, like in general, it was fine. But like when we would try to like swing and like launch ourselves to like propel across a chasm or something, I often felt like it didn't move the way that I thought it was going to move. And I had a hard time getting in sync with like the momentum of that, which was weird. It also didn't help that there were a lot of troll elements in the levels, which like really pissed me off.
Yes.
Like we would swing.
The hitting in the face with the snowball.
Yeah, like getting hit when you're swinging around. We swung around a corner and there were some spikes and we got killed. There was like a moving cable car. Like the guy inside was like shaking the cable car to try to shake us off. And that was kind of, like to add to the quote unquote, like good time friend fun, I'm sure to bring laughs and violence. So I was like, ugh.
Enrage everyone.
Yeah. It was, I had fun. I thought it was fun.
Yeah.
But I
enjoyed it more than I thought it was going to.
Okay. Yeah. And neither one of us got mad at the end, but I did feel like I was focusing really hard because I'm not the kind of person that likes to like spend an hour fucking around and we only make it like 1.5 levels in and then I toddle off and do something else. I want to make more progress because I am a goals oriented player. I mean, what about you? Did you feel like you wanted to come back for it, or what was your impression?
Yeah. I mean, I think I mentioned this when we were playing that like just a few levels.
Yeah.
Just a few and I'm good.
Yeah.
And then we're going to move on to something else because I might hurt someone.
Yeah.
And since you're that someone, I didn't want to do that. So just a few levels.
Yeah.
But it was still fun, but I didn't, there was the piece where you could get a coin or something
Oh,
like
yeah,
that,
the golden
like a
collectibles.
collectible.
Yeah.
And but you had to like hold it throughout the whole thing while also nope.
Yeah.
This is not going to happen.
Yeah, I thought that we just had to touch it because they're kind of in these out of the way places. Um, and once we touched one, it was like an object, and I'm like, oh, geez, I gotta like
Yeah.
hold this thing, and then we need to carry it to the level. Like that was, I mean, if we had had maybe two more people and we had the hands to spare, maybe that would have been something that as a group we could have all agreed upon. But like just the two of us, I was like, this is too much.
Yeah.
I can't deal with this. So
No.
all right. So we went. I don't know. We got like 3/4 of the way through the first world. Do you feel like you would come back for more of it, or like what's your final take on this?
Yeah, I would play again. In fact, when we shut it off the last time, I think we had only one level, one section
Yeah,
left of that
yeah.
first level, and I still think about that every once in a
Oh,
while.
you
and I'm
do?
like,
Okay.
we need to go and finish that.
You have not
because
shared
it's-
that with me. You didn't say that.
It's scratching my brain that like we haven't like completed that section.
You should have said something.
No, it was fun. It was enjoyable. I liked doing it, but again, just a couple of levels at a
Yeah.
time, and you don't want to play that with somebody that you don't already get along with.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think it could cause some.
If you've
arguments.
got some shit to work through and you want to start a fight, this is a good thing. Oh, before we bounce on this though, a couple things. Number one, it loses a point because it has a dedicated fart button, and like fuck that. It's a personal pet peeve. I hate it when people include farting in games because it's just like so fucking stupid and childish, and I hate it. And like you had to do that to move certain objects, like you would get really close to them,
Yeah.
and then you would like hold it and hold it and hold it, and I guess build up internal pressure and then let it go, and then things would move. It was stupid. I fucking hate it. So -1 point. What's your feeling on that? Do you care? Do you not care?
I don't really care.
Yeah. Okay. Fine.
Sorry.
That's totally fine. And the other thing, we should talk about the multiplayer, how it works. We should mention that. So when we jumped into it initially, I had maybe it's just me, but I had forgotten you have to pay for like Nintendo's online. I guess I haven't paid for it for a long time because you and I both play almost entirely single player games on the Switch, Switch
Right.
2, whatever. And so I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm not going to pay to go online and play this. There
Yeah.
is a couch co-op option, which means you play on the same Switch. What we did was we detached the Joy-Cons, and you had one and I had one. And if you turn the Joy-Con sideways, you get this really tiny hand crampy controller with the tiny little buttons on top that is not fun to do, but you could do it that way. And you can also sync in other controllers if you wanted to. So that's what we ended up doing. But also, even though PR sent us both a code, and thank you very much to PR for sending that along. You know who you are. Thank you. You can also game share. And this was my first experience with game share. And I thought that was pretty cool. It took us a minute to figure it out, but basically if one person owns a copy of the game and no one else does, but they have Switches, you go to the game share option, hit a few buttons, and then it sends out whatever it needs to send out to those other people. And then they have that game for like as long as your Switch is on or in the area or something. We didn't test the limits of it, but like it was pretty cool because I got my Switch out and you cast it over to mine, and then it worked just fine. So that was a pretty nice feature, actually. I think that's pretty cool. I'm not sure how widespread that is, but I appreciate that.
Yeah, I think both were really easy to set up. I don't think either one was super complicated. I think it was pretty intuitive and clear about how to access each one of them and play. So
Yeah, it was a good time. So I do give it big props for like looking at it that way, trying to like give you all the options for multiplayer. I do not think you can play this game single player. I'm like 99% sure it's impossible to play. I felt like we needed at least two people for like a lot of the gaps, and that you just wouldn't be able to
Yeah.
make if you didn't have another pair of hands there.
maybe if you fart and launch yourself.
Ah, shh.
I'm just
Shh.
saying.
No.
Maybe that's what part of the reason that feature is there.
No. We're gonna forget that even exists. We're gonna forget that. Okay, so that was Heave Ho 2. I guess we're gonna come back and play some more of that. From what I hear, it's a pretty quick game if you're a decent player. Somebody was telling me 4 or 5 hours altogether, so that's not a big ask. And especially if you're just using it for party purposes or whatever, you can play 1 or 2 levels and then whatever, fist fight and move on. So you're fine. All right, folks, game portion of the show is officially done, but we're not done with my wife yet. Oh no. Every week we do spend a few minutes in front of screens that don't have menus or life bars. That's right, folks. It's time for the TV and movie roundup. Yes, it is. Couple things to talk about this week. Wife, you and I watch all the same stuff. Like 99% of the same stuff, right?
Yes.
Yes.
That is correct.
We try to get our schedules in sync. We try to snuggle up and get our couple time while we're watching our stories. Yes.
Yes. Eat our bonbons, watch our stories.
That's right. Rub each other's feet. I love it. So good. This week we watched Eureka. I brought Eureka up on the show before. We're almost done with the whole series, and I've given a couple nods to it in the past. I bring it up this week because we watched the special Christmas episode, and I believe it was like the 4th season. Does that sound about right to you?
Yeah.
This one was notable because it was an animated episode. Eureka is usually live actors, and that's totally fine. But in this one, it was animated. But it wasn't just animated. What was it?
Different kinds of animation.
Yeah, say it with confidence. You watched it with me. You know the truth.
Well, I didn't know where we were going with this.
I was trying to set it up for you.
See, you started it out with the video game, and then you told me I jumped ahead, so I didn't want to jump ahead.
Nah, you're not
again.
Teeing it up for you.
Yes, it was very cool because it was different animation styles. So they started out with one, and they jumped through, I want to say like 4 or 5.
Oh God, at least
like
least 4 or 5 different styles.
It's like claymation and I don't know.
Like the first one was like super ugly, like Uncanny Valley, like really
so bad,
really awful CG, and I was like, oh my God,
I'm really glad they got out of
that. I was like, I don't want to watch a whole episode.
I didn't want to watch. Yes,
it was really bad. They did some hand drawn animation. They did claymation. I feel like there's at least 1 or 2 other types of animation, and it was so cool to see them like run through the different styles. I'm not sure that I've ever seen a show that like went through as many as that one did. So that was pretty cool. I appreciated that very much, and it was a fun episode. Like, you know, the Christmas episode's kind of fun. So
yeah, it was. That was a good one.
That was good. We also watched. Oh man, I forgot to mention Star Trek. So okay, actually, 2 episodes of Star Trek: Strange New Worlds. We're watching this. We finished Discovery a while ago. We switched to Strange New Worlds. Number 1, they also had an animated episode. Now, we haven't watched Lower Decks yet. I know that's one of the shows that's on my list to watch. That's the purely animated kind of like super fan show. They kind of like do lots of memes and name check stuff. I've heard it's very funny and very good. I've never seen it. You haven't seen it either. But in Strange New Worlds, one of the characters from Lower Decks shows up. They like appear through a portal. And what was the hook about this episode?
So it starts out with the animated. In fact, as we started watching it, we were like, wait, did we start the wrong episode? We actually thought we had like jumped in.
Is this even the show we're watching? Did we hit the wrong thing? Yeah.
It was very weird. So yeah, it starts out, they hit a portal and one of the characters shoots through the portal and then becomes real life.
Yeah.
So now he's real life from the future. And he is trying not to fuck everything up, and he fucks everything up. So.
Yeah, I didn't realize that Lower Decks was set so far in the future. So the characters in that show apparently know everything about every Star Trek show ever, which is why they name drop stuff and do memes all the time. So he was like bursting with like nerd trivia knowledge, and that was pretty funny. And they used the actual voice actors, funny. I believe. So the guy who played him, I mean, I don't know what his real name is, but he's Huey from The Boys. What's his actual name? He's
I don't.
You know, Meg Ryan and Dennis Quaid. That's his. What the fuck's his name?
Parents.
Anyway, that guy, whatever that guy is. And there was another person that showed up that was a voice actor. It was cool to see them like cross genres like that. But not only did they do this animated episode, they did a musical episode. And I know that you live for these, so right?
Good. I do.
Yeah.
I love them.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
Every single one.
They're pretty good.
Even when they're bad, I love them.
Yeah, it's fun. I had no idea this was coming.
Jack Quaid, that's his name.
Jack Quaid, thank you, yes. I had no idea this was coming. It came up in the next episode, and I'm like, oh my God, is this a musical episode? I was very surprised. And we watched it. What did you think of it overall?
I loved it. I loved it. I can't say anything, but I loved it. No, it was really good. And of course, I am the person who goes to IMDb and reads all the things about all the episodes.
True.
And wants all the backstory
True.
And who does what. And several people from the show have theater backgrounds, musical backgrounds.
Before they got
and
cast
so that was,
for Strange New Worlds. Yeah.
And so that was fun because you could tell. You can always tell, right?
Yeah.
Somebody who's like, I'm going to just throw in a song here, and other people who have had some training and stuff like that. So it was really fun. The ending was hilarious.
Oh my God. The ending was fucking, don't spoil it in case anybody watches it.
No, I'm not going to.
Holy cow.
If you haven't watched the show and you don't really plan to, just watch that episode.
Yeah.
And like the ending is just like, it's so funny.
We were both like literally laughing out loud, like so hard.
Yes.
It was so funny. Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah,
Good
it was
stuff.
good. It was really good. I enjoyed that episode a lot.
Yeah, Strange New Worlds is pretty good. They do like a good mix between lighthearted episodes and serious episodes, and I think they've done a pretty good job. I've been pretty entertained by that show so far.
Yeah, it's a good one. I've enjoyed that one a lot.
Another show that we are watching right now, Ride or Die. I'm not sold on the title, but I think the show is really great. It stars that blonde lady from Ted Lasso, and that's not her actual name.
You're gonna make me look up.
No, you don't need to look up
again?
anything. It's like a British name that I can't remember. It's like Miriam Chuggleworthy or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it is.
Wow, really?
Well, okay, so what's her actual name?
Hannah Weddingham.
That was close. That was very close.
That was not close.
That was super
and
close.
Octavia Spencer.
Yes. So so obviously these women in real life are like, they seem like they're both at least 50, if not maybe like a touch older, perhaps. Maybe, yes?
I'm going to let you hang on that one. I have no idea.
Oh no, here comes the hate mail. And so the premise of the show is that they're friends. They're living in England at the time. But what happens is Octavia Spencer is like the wife of a politician, and she's kind of like being the kingmaker, like guiding his moves, but she's also kind of like a housewife and kind of like a crafter or whatever, collecting antiques and stuff. And then the other lady, the blonde lady, is an assassin, and no one knows. So she's friends with Octavia Spencer, but Octavia doesn't know that she's an assassin. So they just like pretend to be like crafting buddies, and they watch Antiques Roadshow or whatever. And then something happens and everything goes sideways. And so the two worlds collide. And then we see blonde lady doing a ton of like James Bond shit with like, killing like a ton of dudes, action, like just like kicking ass. And Octavia Spencer is like losing her mind because she's like, oh my God, my friend is like this paid killer. And what is going on? And it's about the mystery of the show. But also more than that, though, I feel like they really are leaning into like the friendship and love and bond between these two women. That really feels to me like the core of the show. So, I mean, I think it's great so far. What's your impression of it?
Yeah, I've really enjoyed it so far. I love that it is two middle-aged women leading the show.
Yeah.
I think that there is not enough of that. So, and I love the focus on just the friendship.
Yeah.
You know, like early on in the show, there's obviously a lot of tension because Octavia Spencer's character realizes that, you know, who she would consider her best friend has been lying to her this whole time. And now she has to realize that she has this whole life that she didn't know about. And so she's like, do I even know you? And, you know, she's like trying to get her to understand that she does. And she's the only person she's opened up to. And like, so there's all this tension at the beginning about them, you know, because there's also a piece that her character is going through, and she wants her best friend and wants to talk to her and confide in her and wants her support. But now she doesn't feel like she can ask her for that. And she doesn't know what to do because the one person she wants to talk to is the one person she's upset with.
Yeah. Her rock and her support is in her mind anyway, is cast in doubt. Like she doesn't know how much of their relationship is true, how much of it was a put on. And I mean, spoiler, it was all true because this assassin lady, Octavia Spencer, is like her only friend in the real world. Her only friend. I'm sorry, what you said?
Her name is Judith.
Judith is the assassin. Oh, in the show. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I think it's great. I love that there's this focus on like, and in fact, even in the show, they have a term for it. It was like, Wukoa or something like that. It was like, woman of a certain age. Yeah, or something like that. And so, you know, they're both the producers, I believe, on the show. So they're creating roles for themselves. They're doing action. You know, they're doing like little sexy romance scenes. They're doing anything that any other person would do. And they're kind of showing that like once you are older than 22, you can still have a career in Hollywood. And I think it's amazing. I love it. I mean, it's really fun. We were kind of binging it for that weekend we watched it. We got to get back to it. But I think it's great. And I believe last I checked, it was like number one in America right now in terms of like shows that were on Amazon, I believe. So a lot of other people probably connecting with it.
Yeah, I think it's really great, and I definitely think there's an audience for it.
Oh,
I
yeah.
guarantee you there are women out there who are like, yes, let's watch this and let's stop pretending that women when they hit their 50s are now supposed to disappear?
Yeah, just fade away.
Supposed to like go hide away.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's a big focus of the show so far as well, is both of these women are being dismissed.
Yeah.
You know, they've been strong and capable and supportive of their job, of their husband, you know, for either one of them. And now they're both like, yeah, but now you're 50. So
Yeah.
do we really even need you?
Yeah.
Like, so
yeah.
yeah.
In contrast,
it's been a good show.
In contrast, there's no shortage. There's literally no shortage. In fact, we saw 2-3 trailers just like last time we watched TV of these old ass fucking dudes who are way past their prime.
Always.
And, you know, they're like basically 2 steps away from getting in a walker. And then they're, you know, the show is all about like dating some 20-year-old, as if they would even give them the fucking time of day if they weren't a billionaire, like whatever. So we don't even.
Or an action movie, right?
Yeah.
Liam Neeson. How many movies? How many movies?
That's true. Now listen, all due respect
Although I
to
do
Liam
watch
Neeson.
them.
Yeah,
I do watch them.
Okay, so we negated that point. Props to Liam Neeson. He's my boy. But anybody outside of that, like, you know, you see some action guy, he's like 65 or something. It's like, dude, come on, man. Like,
yeah,
you know, whatever. So, okay. Anyway, I think there's a huge audience. The Wakoa factor in America is probably enormous, right? They're reading the fairy smut novels. They're watching the 50-year-old spy ladies on TV. They're an underserved audience for sure. So I say, get them served is what I say. A couple more things before we bounce. Yesterday, the holiest of holy days, High Holy Day. It was when, that's right. The clouds parted, sun rays came down, angels started singing.
Angels sang.
That's right, trumpets. Was when Masters of the Universe came out. I, as everyone listening to the show knows, I'm a huge lifelong He-Man fan ever since, you know, 82 or 83 when it came out. I remember when it hit shelves for the first time, and I've been a fan ever since. I really wanted to go see it in theaters, but it just did not work out. We were like busy, we were working, our schedules didn't sync up, we were tired, our kid needed something. And just like at a certain point, I'm just like, oh my God, like, okay, whatever. Like, it's the stars are not aligning on this one, but it came out yesterday. They announced it like on
streaming.
Yeah. On streaming exclusively on Amazon. They announced it like on Tuesday and then it came out on, oh no, that's right. They announced it Monday and it came out Wednesday. So once I knew, I only had like basically like a day and a half to wait, which was awesome. Got up early. You and I sat and watched it. And I will reserve judgment until you finish saying your piece. But what did you think of it? And actually, before you even say that, what is your relationship to the He-Man franchise? Tell us all about it.
I was going to say that part.
You are my wife. Yes.
I am familiar with He-Man. But I do not know all the stories, all the lore, all the character names. I just, you know, I know the cartoon. I've watched the cartoon. I mean, I'm an 80s kid, you know, so I'm familiar with it. And I was excited for the movie to come out. I did want to see it. I very much enjoyed it.
Okay.
I thought it was really well done. I did not feel like stupid or left behind. Like I wasn't catching things. You were catching things and I could tell that you were, and I didn't know what those things were, but I didn't feel like I was missing out on the story or being part of like what was happening. Like I was enjoying myself. So I thought overall it was good. I really enjoyed it.
All right. Excellent. Yeah, I was going to ask you that, but you've already answered. You know, for me being the lifelong fan, I mean, I've seen basically everything that's ever been made and I've read the books and I know all the lore and stuff like that. So you're right in that the director, Travis something, there's a guy that directed Bumblebee, which was also a good movie. He and his crew definitely did their nerd homework because there was like a million references and nods and little things that, you know, the hardcore fans like myself definitely caught. You know, like the name of the comic shop was a thing. The statue in the comic shop was a thing. Like, you know, some of the songs they chose were things. And so like, there's like a lot of those little call outs, which were great. But I was really glad that this was not just nostalgia. It wasn't just to satisfy the old crusty dudes like me who are so hell-bent on reliving our childhoods and nothing can change and it's got to be exactly the way I wanted. You know, if it's not what I want exactly, then it's bad. And, you know, there's a lot of that going around. But I love, you know, it's like, you know, that phrase, like, if you really love something, you got to set it free. I'm sure you've heard that.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, exactly. So like He-Man is like that for me, rather than being a bird or a pet fish or something like that. It's like, I love He-Man as a franchise, as an IP, as a toy line, as a thing, as a cultural icon. And I know that if I love it that much that I want it to like still be around and survive, you've got to let it grow and change. Like you've got to let it evolve. It's got to find a new audience. Otherwise it just fades away into history and it's going to be forgotten. And I think that this movie was a big step forward in kind of like opening it up to new people. There's a lot of people who don't know who He-Man is. There's a lot of people who have no idea, who have never heard of Masters of the Universe. They're not buying the toys or whatever. And there's a huge audience of people who I think would enjoy these adventures, sword and sorcery and, a talking tiger and a skull-faced dude. And that's all fun shit. I think a lot of people would like that. So I liked a lot of the changes. I laughed. I thought it was clever. I thought it was respectful to the source material, but also fresh and updated. And like you said, I think one of the most important things was that anybody could come watch this. They did a lot of, I don't want to say a lot, but they did enough elaboration of who was who and what was what, that it kind of set the scene, I thought anyway. And then you just kind of roll on and just enjoy the characters and enjoy like tons of fights. Special effects were cool, lots of action and stuff. I mean, it's been a while since we've seen like a sword and sorcery kind of a thing like this. And I had a great time. I really liked it a lot. I think it was great. And I really do genuinely hope that they do a sequel. I know it underperformed. Well, I don't know about underperformed, but a lot of people thought it underperformed at the box office. But Amazon, who footed all or most of the bill or whatever, said they were happy with it. They said they were selling a lot of toys and they were very interested in getting it exclusively streaming on their service, which they did. And I believe as of right now, in terms of movies, I believe it is number one in the movie category. So we have Ride or Die as number one on the TV category. Masters of the Universe is number one in the movie category right now. At least today, July 23rd. So whatever. But yeah, I thought it was great. Great time. Loved it. Had a blast. I'm going to watch it again for sure. Good stuff. Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah, I thought they did a really good job of doing that balance of giving the nods to those who know the history and the lore and who have loved it from their childhood, and also allowed new people to come in and enjoy it as well. I thought that's a hard thing to balance. I think we've seen it happen several times where it doesn't happen, where they swing one way or the other too much and you end up alienating one of those groups.
Exactly.
And I would say that it was a pretty good balance.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to the next movie.
Yeah. Excellent. So. Excellent. Last question before we leave He-Man. Lead actor Nicholas Galitzine, I think it's Galitzine. I'm not sure how to pronounce that name. Nicholas, I know you listen. I'm sorry. I know you're a fan. I apologize for mispronouncing your name, but don't laugh at that. What are you laughing for?
He's gonna be so disappointed.
He is,
in
Nick.
you.
I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry. I just call him Nick. We don't say his last name. I just like, hey, what's up, Nick? Wow. He's like, yo, whatever. It's fine. We have a Red Bull. We move on. It's fine.
Just yo.
Yeah, just yell. That's all we do. So when they announced the casting like 2 years ago, because I've been literally like waiting for this movie for like 2 years. I was like so excited. They announced
this was me with the Wicked film.
Exactly.
So I can relate.
Exactly. You were super on fire for Wicked and Wicked 2. And we watched those for sure. And I was on fire for Masters of the Universe. So I totally get it. When they announced Nicholas, or Nick as I call him, I was like, man, is this kid gonna do it? Like, you have in your head this idea of He-Man. And I had
you thought that about your friend?
Well, wow. He's a good guy, but like, I didn't know. Man. I didn't know if he could pull it off. I mean, love the bro, but like, I was like, man, is this too big for you? I don't know, dude. So I didn't want to tear him down. I didn't say that to his face. I was like, of course, supportive. Sure. But I was like, I don't know if this guy's got it. I don't know if he's going to, I had some serious doubts. But honestly, I feel like he did it. I feel like he pulled it off. Like I was watching it and I'm like, okay, I kind of buy this guy as being He-Man. And I'm not sure that I would have said that 2 years ago. What did you think? You think he sold it?
Yes, I enjoyed him as He-Man. I think he did an excellent job. And I know there were some people who were like, it leaned too hard into the funny. Mm-hmm. And I disagree. I feel like that was exactly what it needed, was to bring in the humor. I also think we're all desperate for that because the world is a shitstorm. So I really enjoyed pulling into that fantasy and like just making it on the lighter side. But it also, there were opportunities for some feeling and some, heart to hearts and all of that stuff. So I think overall, he did a really good job. I think he was a good match for it. And I would like to see more going forward.
Yeah. Props to the casting director. Cause I wasn't sold at first. I mean, full disclosure, I wasn't sure Nick could do it, but man, bro pulled it off and I was feeling it by the end. So good job, everybody. Last thing we're going to discuss on this episode, The Mandalorian and Grogu. It just came to streaming, I believe, this week. It was in theaters. Basically, everybody I talked to and everything I heard was that it was a huge flop and people were disappointed in it. Nobody liked it from what I could tell. We watched it last night despite all those warnings, despite all those people telling us to not waste our money. We decided to see it for ourselves. And wife, what did you think of it?
Oh, I enjoyed it. It was exactly what I was expecting it to be, which was some shit blowing up and, flying their ships and them having an adventure. I mean, it was thoroughly enjoyable.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. I actually really enjoyed it quite a bit. I know that you and I both really liked The Mandalorian, the first season that came out. I thought that was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Big fan of the first season. Second season, pretty good, like not too bad. I think we kind of fell off a little bit when it started getting kind of wrapped back up in the Star Wars lore. And it was, I mean, I don't know about you, but for me, part of the appeal of The Mandalorian was that it was breaking away from Star Wars lore. It was a new story, new characters. You didn't have to see all the films or remember all the, which Jedi was which and which guy was what and who did what when and the Emperor, this and that. Like you could just watch it and it was cool. They fell out of that pretty quickly, but this one to me kind of brought back that feeling of, you don't have to know everything. Like you really don't. I mean, and there were nods. I mean, not to spoil anything, but one of the main characters in the story has a very strong connection to a character from Return of the Jedi. I'm not gonna say what it is in case you haven't seen it, because I was surprised when it showed up. I was like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. That was fun and interesting and different, I guess. Very unexpected. But you didn't, even if you didn't know that, it was still like super enjoyable. And maybe that's the theme between these two movies, is like they are trying to find that line between keeping older fans happy and bringing in newer fans and not requiring that you read every goddamn, expanded universe novel before you come to watch the movie. So special effects were great. Action was cool. Loads of fights. Like, dude, Mandalorian killed like tons of people in this fucking thing. And they also catered to the kids. I'm not sure. Okay. So let me ask you this. I'm not sure that they really negotiated this line perfectly, where there was a couple times when Mando killed somebody in a pretty brutal way. Like he cut off at least one or two heads. He was stabbing dudes. I think at least a couple people like blew up into chunks. But at the same time, I felt like they were very clearly appealing to younger viewers. There were lots of laughs. And also they spent a lot of time with puppets where they focused on Grogu, the little Yoda type guy. And he had some other little friends, like physically little, and they were like the little munchkin crew running around, and they were doing like antics and stuff, and they were having fun. That to me felt very much like they were appealing to a younger audience. I mean, did you get the sense they were trying to do like a little bit of bloodthirsty for the grown-ups, a little bit of puppetry for the kids? Is that like, where did you land on that?
I mean, I guess, because those two elements were in there, but I don't know necessarily that I think of Mandalorian and I think that that's like for kids.
I mean, I wouldn't think so either, but with this particular film, they did so much on Grogu and the little munchkin dudes. It felt to me like almost like they were trying to skirt that line, which is kind of weird because he killed like a shitload of dudes, which is, those two things don't really go together in my head.
I mean, I think everybody really likes Grogu though. So I think maybe there was some focus on there because that's, people really like seeing that character, and watching those little guys interact with each other was very cute and funny. And I also think that there was a certain element of like, again, not to like spoil a bunch of stuff, but Grogu kind of like coming into his own a little bit, even though he's still a little guy, like, so, I think there was a little bit of that, like a kind of almost coming of age piece.
Yeah.
So was that necessarily directed at kids? I don't necessarily think so. I think it's just that character happens to also be a puppet.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Which was also interesting too, because like they're full on doing puppetry for Grogu. And I know that when Mandalorian first started, the director of the series, I forget who the director was, but it's somebody who's well known that I'm really forgetting right now. Whoever it was really insisting, no, we're not going to do CG or anything like that. We're going to do puppetry and we're going to keep it real. So they've maintained that. All of his friends that he interacted with were also puppets, but also this movie did not shy away from CG. There was tons of CG in it, like Mando's co-pilot guy, I don't know what his name was, but he was like purely CG.
Yeah.
The other character that was a callback to Return of the Jedi was purely CG. Almost all the big monsters were CG and stuff. And so, I mean, to be fair, I mean, a lot of it looked pretty good. Some of it was like, okay, but some of it looked really good. Like when they're flying the ships, and like they're kind of, the ship is kind of vibrating, the clouds are going, that should look real, dude. I'm like, damn, that looks like they're actually flying.
I actually thought that several times, that there were a couple of scenes where they're zooming around in their ship, and I'm like, this just like seems so realistic.
Yeah, it really
I'm
did.
like, how cool if we could just hop in a ship and like hop on over to another planet real quick.
Get away from
know?
Earth. Yeah, sign me up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Overall, I thought it was good. I'm not sure why people hated it so much. I mean, from what I gather, it was like a bunch of Star Wars nerds who were got their feelings hurt because it didn't reference some third order Jedi, Sith, something, whatever,
Well, and I think people need to be careful about making assumptions or going into a film already like, this is what I'm expecting.
Yeah.
This is what
Yeah.
I want. And they're not really going into it open to just what am I going to get? What am I going to see? Same thing with the He-Man movie, right? Like, sure, I'm sure you had expectations and things that you would like to see or whatever, but I think there's also a willingness on your part to go in and just see what they're going to give you.
Yeah.
You know, and go from there. And I think that with this Mandalorian movie, I think there was probably a lot of assumptions going on, a lot of like, this is what I want them to give me. And when they didn't get that, they're like, well, then it's trash.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're not looking at it for what it is instead.
Yeah.
So.
I think you're onto something there because I mean, like I said at the top, I heard nothing but bad things about this and I ended up really liking it. I thought it was a fun romp, good popcorn movie. I mean, I wasn't expecting to learn more about the human condition. And it was just a fun ride and like special effects and cool monsters and fights and shit. Like it was just a thrill ride from start to finish. I thought it was good. I liked it.
Yep. Agreed.
All right, folks. That is a show. Before the closing music, we'd love for you to leave reviews, share the show on social media. Most important of all, please recommend the show to your friends because nothing beats good old word of mouth. And as always, please send me your questions and comments. Hit me up directly, sovideogamespodcast@gmail.com, or you can hit me up on social media. You can find me on Instagram and Blue Sky. It's my name, BradGallaway. All A's, no O's. And that's mostly talking about the last name, not really so much the first name because nobody calls me Broad. That doesn't happen.
But we could.
You could, but no one does. You can also hit me up in the So Videogames Discord, which is totally free of charge to join. Just drop me a line through any of the channels I just mentioned, and we'll get you on board to continue the conversation. And finally, if you like this episode and you want to hear more, you can help support the show and sister site GameCritics.com by going over to patreon.com/the So Videogames Podcast. Every single dollar helps, and €1 helps that much more. Folks, that's going to do it for episode 497. Thanks again for joining me, and thank you for joining my wife, Gina. Gina, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
It was a true
let's go
pleasure.
Make dinner.
You want me to make dinner?
Yeah, let's go make dinner.
Am I doing it?
You can make dinner.
I can.
Yeah, I think you should.
Oh, man. Okay. All right.
Tonight is your night.
I guess I got stuff to do, folks. I better get out of here. Thank you all for listening. Thanks again for joining us here on the So Videogames Podcast. And I'll see you next week. And, honey, when are you going to be back?
When you invite me.
All right. That's a plan.
It's on you.
Let's do it. Bye.
Bye.